Hello again, fellas and ladies! Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're keeping yourself sane even throughout this chaotic clown show, because if I'm being honest, I'm like straight up not having a good time. I don't even want to be around anymore. So for today's adventure into the unknown, I want to tell you guys a little secret. I am a certified comic book nerd. I know, it's a huge shock. I mean, I've just hidden it so well. I've especially never made any kind of videos about anything even remotely comic book related. Only losers with tiny little baby balls would do such a thing. But being the lifelong comic book fan that I am, discussing the art form has been something that's just a huge part of my life. I genuinely doubt that there's been a single day since I could speak that I haven't talked to somebody about something comic book related. And I know for certain there's never been a day that I've never thought about something comic book related or had a conversation in my head about it, which is actually kind of a weird thought, something I've never really thought about until just now. Kind of makes me feel weird. Not in a bad way, just in like a retrospective way. Everybody at home, genuinely try to come up with a day that you've never thought or talked about something like superhero or comic book related. You can't! That's my point. The medium itself has just become so ingratiated and infused in our modern society that I can't even think about one thing that doesn't have some sort of connection to comic books. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Who's to say? I'm to say. It's a good thing. Superheroes are awesome. But along with every positive, there's always some kind of negative that's just horribly trudging its way along behind it. And despite my and billions of other people I'd bet in this world's love for comic books and superheroes, there's always going to be some kind of group of people that try to just spoil it for the rest of us. And that brings us to the topic of today's video. We're going to be talking about some of the worst kinds of comic enjoyers and people that I like to call toxic comic nerds. Now, like I said, there's not a day that goes by that there's not discussions around the world being had about comics. And of course, not all of it is going to be positive or constructive or valid in any way. No. For every social media post about a new comic book movie, there's going to be some dippy little dollar dipshit spouting off some bullshit in the comments. Sometimes it's about race, sometimes it's about sexual orientation or gender identity, but all of it is just trivial bullshit that does not matter. At one point in time, you could just point to Facebook comments and be like, God, don't ever read those. But at this point, it's just everywhere. And as time goes on, the problem has just gotten worse, especially as people in the highest seats of power encourage that kind of shitty behavior. Tunk. And one of the places that this problem has gotten to the worst is this very platform here that I call my home. There are quite a few channels here that make content entirely revolving around just rage baiting and fear mongering. And there's 3 of these channels specifically that we're going to be talking about today because I just think that they stand out amongst these obnoxious offenders. I'm sure you've heard of at least one or maybe seen all of these channels and never just even realized it. And the first one on this list that we're going to be covering today is a channel by the name of The Critical Drinker, which is incredibly ironic because it's a play on the phrase like a critical thinker, which none of these people are. But The Critical Drinker is a Scottish YouTuber who makes content basically about just how woke is destroying everything, which is a common theme you'll be seeing today. One of the most recent examples of this is a video that he made about Captain America Brave New World, which I've seen a few times and is an okay movie. It's not great. It's certainly not at the level of something like Winter Soldier, but I would say it's probably still at the same level as like the first Captain America, the first Avenger. It's not a bad movie by any means. I just think it could have been better. But the reasons that he lays out for why this movie was a disaster to him are just ones that I completely disagree with. Like, for example, in the beginning of the video, he says this.
What this movie is, a jumbled mishmash of different ideas and storylines ripped off from other, better Marvel characters and films.
So already, he talks about how this movie steals from other better Marvel characters and films. And the 2 examples he shows for this are The Incredible Hulk and The Eternals, which are 2 of the worst received Marvel films of all time. Also, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's been around for 18 years and 35 movies. Are you not used to the cameos by now? Some of the best movies of the entire franchise are so cameo heavy. That is not a valid criticism. He then starts to explain the plot of the movie, which, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet, by the way.
Anyway, because the Celestial's body contains enormous reserves of adamantium, a mineral which is even more invincible than vibranium. Oh, does someone not have a monopoly on the world's most valuable resource now? Pass me the world's smallest fucking violin.
Dude, why are you so mad about a fictional country? What does that have to do with anything? The Wakandans are mentioned like twice in the movie, once to explain where Sam got his suit, and then again by Ross when he calls them an isolationist country. And that's it. You'd think from the way that he's talking about it that Wakanda being angry about adamantium would be like a big part of the movie, but it's not at all in the movie. So I'm just confused why he brought it up. And again, why are you so mad about a fictional country? You seem to be like jealous that they have vibranium and you don't, but nobody does. It's not a real thing. He then goes on to mention the involvement in the movie of Sabra, whose role was apparently cut down because of her comic ties to Mossad, but he's not even mad about that part, which is kind of what I expected from somebody that supports stuff like he does. But he's mad for a completely different and so much dumber reason, and it's that she's small and not as hot as Black Widow.
Oh yeah, and this small child shows up for like 5 minutes to give us the obligatory girl boss moment. You've often heard me joke about petite actresses beating the shit out of guys twice their size, but in this case, it's literally true. If she's more than 5 feet tall and weighs more than 90 pounds, I would be fucking shocked. A character who I guess once had a much bigger role in this film, kind of like Natasha in Winter Soldier, only definitely not as hot.
Dude, what are you talking about? Smaller people fighting and defeating bigger people is like one of the most classic stories to ever exist. Like David and Goliath, it's in the Bible. Not only is that story thousands of years old, but do you know how weight and joint manipulation works? It's the entire basis and foundation behind some of the most versatile and well-known martial arts on the planet, like Aikido, Judo, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know why he acts like it's so unrealistic and so impossible. They even tell you in the movie that she was a former Black Widow assassin to explain where she got all this training. Did you just miss that part? He then explains her involvement in the movie for being just to have a girl boss moment, which now I'm starting to think he didn't even watch the movie. The entire point of Ruth Bot-Saraf is that she's supposed to be like a red herring. Her entire role is so that you think that she might be behind it or that she's at least in on the conspiracy. And then you learn that it's actually Samuel Stearns. This dude just clearly has no idea what he's talking about. And there's also something else that really confuses me about this guy. He made another video about Captain America Brave New World because Anthony Mackie did this press interview where he seemingly insinuated that Captain America shouldn't represent America. But if you actually watch the interview and use your brain for 5 fucking seconds, you'd realize that what he means is that Captain America shouldn't represent just America. You shouldn't want this powerful superhero running around with this whole blind, like, America first, no matter what. But also, why does this dude care so much about American values? You're Scottish, which doesn't mean that you shouldn't care at all, but why are you so, like, blindly loyal and patriotic to a country that's not yours? That's a weird thing to do. But like I said, it's very clear here that Mr. Drinker doesn't really even know what he's talking about, so we're just gonna go ahead and move on to our second contemptuous clown, a channel by the name of The Woke Informant, which immediately is just, ugh, gross. What do you work for the FBI? Are you infiltrating secret societies? Are you spilling the satanic secrets of the woke mob for QAnon? Now this guy, I couldn't really find anything about, and if you watch any piece of his content, you'll see why. Not only has the person behind the channel never revealed his identity or anything like that, but the content itself seemingly is just like an AI voiceover with a bunch of clips mixed together that don't even mix together correctly.
Ryan Reynolds is absolutely furious with Disney's CEO, Bob Iger. What was supposed to be a massive win for Marvel after Deadpool and Wolverine's shattered box office records has turned into an all-out war. Instead of celebrating, Ryan and the creative team are locked in a heated battle with Disney over control of Deadpool's future. And now, tensions have exploded, with Ryan threatening to walk away from Marvel entirely.
The record-smashing summer event.
And on top of that, the video consistently contradicts itself even in the very beginning. The title itself says that like Ryan Reynolds lashes out about woke culture, but in the first 2 clips that it shows, it's Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy talking about how they're so excited that the movie they made was made how they wanted it to be.
Ryan Reynolds was frustrated with the corporate executives who dragged their feet in the production of Deadpool.
You must be quite pissed off that, you know, what, you couldn't make that decision for yourself?
Yes, exactly. We tried, but the fans got it made. So there's a great story, too, that this is totally fan-driven.
What was the meeting like when you're discussing with Disney the jokes about Disney?
The fun story would be that Disney was just appalled at everything and was never going to let us do anything. But that's on one hand. On the other hand, money. They had a lot of faith in us to deliver and to self-govern. So yes, there's jokes in there that I personally cannot believe they let us.
And in fairness, because we were like the kind of good boy students turning in our script every once in a while, and every time we send a script, we were like kind of waiting, and the pushback never came, and it became clear that on this movie, funny wins.
The voiceover then claims that 45% of the movie's earnings were put towards DEI projects.
Roughly 45% of the $1.3 billion revenue, nearly $600 million, was funneled into diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI projects.
And provides no source to even back that up, or even clips of anyone saying anything remotely similar. I even Googled it to find out where they got this information, and all I could really find were like articles about completely unrelated things and channels by the name of like something similar, like I think it was Wokebuster. Then the video claims that Disney tried to interfere with the Deadpool 3 script by including a younger, more diverse sidekick for Deadpool so that it would appeal to Gen Z audiences.
Disney executives reportedly suggested adding a new sidekick for Deadpool, a younger, more diverse character designed to appeal to Gen Z audiences.
But then again, they provide no backup for any of these claims, and I couldn't find a single article or anything that could verify this. So what this person is clearly doing is just mashing up a bunch of completely unrelated clips and using an AI voiceover to just spread misinformation. Is this the future now? Is this how propaganda has just devolved? It's not even a human being doing the work anymore, and not only that, they've gotten so lazy and ashamed and hateful that they're too scared to even show who is spreading this message. Clearly, these people have a political leaning. I mean, it's pretty obvious that any of the anti-woke and DEI people do. If you haven't picked up on that by now, then I'm kind of scared for your safety, because you might not have a pulse and you might not be able to hear. Look out for that bus! So the point of this content is to just get people enraged and angry and push that right-wing agenda and do the exact same thing that they claim Disney is doing. So it's so funny to me, but also like not funny and super saddening that they don't even realize that they're being so hypocritical. Or is it worse that they maybe even do realize and they just don't care? The reason that this makes me upset is not just because I completely disagree with their very hateful ideologies, but that I make content on YouTube and I kind of try pretty hard to do it, even if it doesn't really look like it. But I and so many other people on the platform who are way better than me actually try to do this and try to make it good. We actually make time, we write a script, we set up equipment, we record a whole video, we edit the video, we make thumbnails, we do descriptions, and actively try to make it good and funny and do things that make people smile. But then these kind of people come in and just shit all over that by mashing a bunch of shit up and using artificial intelligence to just shit out whatever to make a quick buck. It's aggravating, it's disheartening, and it's frankly insulting that there's so many people who actively put the work in and make things and actually deserve a spotlight and deserve to have their work recognized. And this shit comes along and just takes that spotlight away by appealing to people's fears and hatred. It feeds into it and simply just makes content out of complete negativity. And that is just okay, I need to calm down. I'm getting too heated. All right, let's move on to the last person on this list of poisonous pissy pantses. Another Scottish YouTuber by the name of Ranting for Vengeance. Dude, what is up with the Scottish people? That's two of them now. Is everything all right there? Well, it's the UK, so no. But, you know, I hope you're all good. Hope you're all okay. Shit here certainly isn't. Now, unlike the other two cretins that we've just covered, this person actually puts their face out there and doesn't just hide behind AI and movie footage. I don't know, maybe that's not fair. There are plenty of good YouTubers who don't show their face, even though I can only think of one right now, which is Swagger Souls. Oh, Solid JJ, that's another one that I actually really like a lot. But I also feel like if you're gonna be this like vile, spouting, hateful bullshit mouthpiece, at the very least you can stand on business and be assertive. Not that this kind of speech deserves it, but I mean, like, you get what I mean. Like, if you're gonna do this, don't be cowardly and do like the leafy approach.
26-year-old man.
Now, Ranting for Vengeance, he actually has been covered by a couple of commentary YouTubers before. I mean, there's one by the name of Ashbjorn that I actually really like. You should go watch his stuff after this. You know, Ranting for Vengeance is too long. Let's call him Venji. Kind of takes the sting out of it, doesn't it? But anyways, we're going to be talking about a specific video that really sticks out to me that covers Venji's views on the first trailer for Fantastic Four First Steps, which, by the way, I am so excited for. Holy shit. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards is enough to get me all warm and sticky, but the whole cast is just, chef's kiss. But of course, as all these people do, this guy can just not like something for once, which is like the biggest problem, I think, with these kind of people. Also, something that I just noticed is that the thumbnail for this video has the trans flag, the pride flag, and the BLM fist, which has nothing to do with any of this. As far as I know, there's no queer characters of any kind because the movie isn't even out yet, which is another huge problem that I have with this whole thing. How can you already fucking hate a movie that you've not even seen yet? We've only gotten a single trailer so far, and we don't even really know the premise yet. We know that Galactus and Silver Surfer will be in it, but we don't know what capacity that is because it's not not out yet. But anyways, back to the video. In the first 30 seconds, he says that the name First Steps is really stupid.
So, the trailer for Fantastic Four First Steps, which is a really stupid name, by the way, just dropped.
Which is an odd thing to gripe about, and no, it isn't. We see from the trailer that it has something to do with like space travel, and we know that they get their powers from like space or intergalactic travel. I don't know. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes they go to a planet and get weird energy. Sometimes they go to a different dimension and get weird energy. It always changes. So to me, it seems like a pretty apt name. I mean, it's supposed to invoke the Neil Armstrong quote.
One small step for man, one giant leap for holy shit, that's a giant alien space spider. Ah!
He also says,
"This isn't rage bait. I'm not being a contrarian just for the sake of it. I'm just pointing out what I see."
Which is just a straight up lie. Not a single bit of anything you do is positive in any capacity. The only reason you get views is specifically because of rage bait. There's no way you're that fucking stupid. So you're probably just a straight up liar. I don't know what to tell you. He then goes on to complain about the gender swapped version of Silver Surfer that we'll be getting.
So the first major offense with this movie is the gender swapped Silver Surfer. Fantastic Four casts Ozark star Julia Garner as Silver Surfer in gender swapped role that upsets fans. The character of Shala Bal,
which is technically not even true because she does exist in the comics, and he acknowledges that she exists.
And my response is this: do not comment, don't come at me saying it's an alternate universe. How do you not know that? I know that, I just don't care.
He knows that her character is an alternate reality version, but still decides to stay mad about it. Now there is something to be said about companies not actually caring and just checking off boxes instead of focusing on storytelling and character. That does happen, obviously. Not every company, not every movie is going to be focused on the right thing. But this is clearly not a case of that because, again, this character does exist. There is precedent for this. It would be different if they swapped it for no reason and there was no sort of precedent for it, but that's just not the case here. It's just not. Benji here then decides to go on a little rant about Pedro Pascal being cast as Reed Richards, which, holy shit, dude, let's go. Fuck yes. Love me some Mando, dude. But is Mr. Panting for Appendages here happy about it? Of course not. That'd be too easy. That'd mean he'd have to be happy about something for once, and he'd have... Holy shit, that scared the fuck out of me. I'm gonna wait till the motorcycle leaves. That'd mean he'd have to be happy for once, and then he'd have to like something. No. Instead, he decides to get all racist about it and get really mad and make fun of him for being Mexican.
Then we get to kind of, you know, the leader of the team, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, the white guy, and he's being played by Pedro Pascal. It's like his job to come in and take a normal white character and just turn him Mexican. Who'll know the difference? It's in his name. Amigo, sorry to break it to you, but you're not Reed Richards. How does a Mexican Reed Richards and a comic inaccurate costume correlate to some comic accurate masterpiece? The people making these movies have no care for the characters. That's why they'll drop in a Mexican guy to play Reed Richards. Oh yeah, and P.S. if Pedro Pascal is playing Mr. Fantastic, I just want to ask, what's he really fantastic at? Cleaning houses or jumping over the border? And if you got a problem, go complain to your boyfriend.
And by the way, he's not even Mexican. He's from Chile. He's Chilean. Not only that, but I did some research and found out that his parents were apparently refugees from Chile and from General Pinochet's government after being labeled as enemies of the state, which is like literal hero shit. Just giving you that little bit of information to see the gap between someone like Pedro and his family and somebody like Venji here. And of course, on top of being a racist shitbag, he has horrible video game opinions and talks about how The Last of Us sucked crap.
The Last of Us, a game series that already sucked crap.
Dude, does your brain work? Do you have a brain, or is it just filled with haggis and skulls? You can be honest here, it's a safe space. We got blankies and chalky milk. He also later on down the road calls Pedro Pascal a psycho because of where he apparently leans politically.
And just speaking a bit more on Pedro Pascal, if you look at his real life antics, because that's what I'm gonna call them, the dude is a little bit of a nut job. So over the years, he has shown himself to be a total and utter psycho when it comes to politics.
Which is incredibly ironic because what sounds like more of a psycho to you? Is it A, supporting people loving and being who they want and showing compassion to his sister, or B, yelling at a video camera spewing a bunch of hateful, anger-filled, vitriolic nonsense about somebody's race and gender?
I don't know, man. Seems like an easy choice to me.
It's just upsetting to me that people like this absolutely flood the comic book community on top of every other community in the world. It just shows that you completely failed the total message of superheroes, especially people like the X-Men who have been used as an allegory for the civil rights movement and LGBTQ plus people since the very beginning. People like Captain America who strive to represent not the government, not the America that is, but the America that can be. People like Ben Grimm, a man who was given a sudden debilitating disability, turned into a literal, like physical monster, but somehow still uses it to protect and help people and stay true to who he is and loves his family. Superheroes are generally people who have been bullied and beaten down and persecuted, people who have been given tremendous strengths, and they could use it for vengeance, but they use it to protect people and help others in need. And it's just so sad that so many people are so blind to that and just have missed the entire point. And that, I don't know, it sucks. But anyways, that's probably going to be it for today, fellas and ladies. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe because it really helps me out. And I also apologize for taking so long for this video. I kept getting like sick after sick after sick. At first it was a cold, and then it was migraines, and then it was just shooting out of both ends. Let's just say that. But I'm back now, I'm healthy, and next video, it definitely won't take as long. And as always, I hope I made you laugh. I hope I made you smile, and I will see you when I do this again. Bye.